Boss Nigger, also known as Boss or the Black Bounty Killer, is a 1975 blaxploitation Western film directed by Jack Arnold, starring former football player Fred Williamson, who also co-wrote and co-produced the film. It is considered the first film for which Williamson was credited as screenwriter and producer. Upon finding a wagon under attack by bandits, two black bounty hunters, Boss and Amos, Fred Williamson and one D'Urville Martin, intervene and save Clara May, a black woman played by Carmen Hayward. Upon inspecting the bodies, the bounty hunters find several have rewards for their names and then take them to the nearby town San Miguel, where Boss quickly instills himself as the sheriff, and much to the dismay of the mostly white townsfolk. Boss Nigger is like we said, a blaxploitation Western that met with some acclaim upon its release in 1975, and it is one of a few Westerns that Fred Williamson would star in, and it is Vincent's selection for tonight's stop in our Cowboys and Aliens month here on the Micheaux Mission. Vincent, what say you of Boss Nigger?
Well, if I can be transparent for a moment, I think we do these reviews, and sometimes in my head, I've sketched out
what you're going to say,
what I'm going to say before I've even watched it, just based on some of the elements that we have. And if you listen to our review from 2 weeks ago, you could see the sketching begin.
Right, the legend
where
of
we
Nigger
said
Charlie.
the legend of Nigger Charlie was earlier than this. We knew this was a little later. We've talked about Fred Williamson previously, and we talk about Fred Williamson. Frankly, I think as the 70s go on, he, really takes himself more and more seriously, gets more and more full of himself. And to really pinpoint it, I would argue that there's the Fred Williamson performance pre-Black Caesar and post-Black Caesar. We also knew that this was a film that Fred Williamson both produced and wrote.
Yes.
So I was fully prepared when the film came on to spend an hour and a half with the Fred Williamson ego trip.
Yes. Yes.
And when the film comes on, it certainly, these two characters, Boss, played by Williamson, and Amos, played by D'Urville Martin, they are introduced in shadow, very stylized, and then they come on, and Fred Williamson, who always cuts a really good-looking figure, is dressed in all black, and he has on the hat, and there was a part of me that I said, here we go. And then something interesting happens. Almost immediately, as these bounty hunters, they get into a tussle with some bounties. And Boss actually gets into a dust up. And they're rolling around in the dust, and they get up, and I said, Fred Williamson looks a little like it's dust and stuff in his hair, and his hair is out of sorts, and this, that, and the other. And I thought that was interesting to note. But as the film goes on, it very quickly establishes Boss Nigger is not the stereotypical, untouchable blaxploitation hero. He is beat up. He is shot. He is cut up with a knife. He is not invincible. And just right there, I thought that added a little texture to what I was expecting.
Yeah.
As a script that Fred Williamson wrote, I thought it was surprisingly generous with his partner in crime, D'Urville Martin. I have to say, after 2 weeks ago in The Legend of Nigger Charlie, Black Caesar, and this. All jokes aside, we joke about D'Urville Martin. We've talked about D'Urville Martin. I get D'Urville Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I completely understand D'Urville Martin.
Yeah.
And as you know, I kind of said as the Robin to his Batman, but they really do have a chemistry. And this script allows D'Urville Martin's character Amos to have a hero moment.
Yeah.
He, you know, at one point he helps to save Boss.
Mm-hmm.
He has a bit of comedic timing. He has his own little side plot where, as you mentioned, they install themselves as the law in this town. And there's this running subplot where Amos has his black laws that he finds people with. And I like that. Like, I like this camaraderie between the two. Is there some of the wish fulfillment that you get in the blaxploitation film where they the baddest dudes and everything? Absolutely. Absolutely. And certainly there are moments throughout the film where it's like, well, this doesn't seem like this is realistic. Somebody would lynch him, this, that, and the other. But I have to say, there is a story beat in this film that picks up from one that is touched upon in The Legend of Nigger Charlie.
Okay.
That I thought was really well explored. This is a Western. Many Westerns, perhaps most, are set in this period, the late 1800s usually. And the late 1800s are this really interesting moment where a lot of the conflict is the Wild West is being tamed.
Right.
You have these towns, you have townspeople, you have mayors, you have lawyers, you have landowners, and a lot of the conflict comes because you have these remnants of the Old West. Cattle rustlers, gunfighters, whatever. Oftentimes they are veterans of the Civil War or just, but they are wild.
Yes. Feral.
And what happens is that this newly domesticated town is not built for this. So oftentimes the hero comes in and has to deal with it. But that is the dynamic, that the townspeople are domestic.
Yeah. Or trying to be.
But again, we're not gunfighters. We're not this. We're not that. One of the details of The Legend of Nigger Charlie that we both talked about is the fact that when you bring race and slavery into this dynamic, both the film 2 weeks ago and this film kind of have this proposition that if you are a black man at this moment, many of you used to be enslaved. And basically what it says is, I used to be enslaved, and now I'm no longer enslaved, and I have a gun. I am built for this.
Yeah.
Like, I actually can operate in this space. And there are moments throughout this film where the white townspeople are never not racist. But they say through deed and word, we are not built to deal with these two. Like, these two are gunfighters and bounty hunters, and they're black, and we don't like them. And God knows the word nigger floats through this film like water. But even though we don't like them, we cannot handle them.
Right.
So they operate with this impunity. There's a wonderful moment where it seems like a crowd is actually going to become a mob. And Boss says, look, it's 20 of y'all, it's however many of y'all, but one of y'all has to go first. Which one of y'all is man enough to step out first?
That's right.
Because that one is getting popped.
That's right. That's right.
But these are domesticated people, and no one is man enough to do that. And I thought this was a really interesting dynamic that gave me enough of a suspension of disbelief
Mm-hmm.
that I could handle these two kind of running roughshod over this town by themselves. Said it a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to say it again. Every time you see a blaxploitation movie and there's not sexual exploitation,
Yeah.
it's worth noting. As you mentioned, Boss saves this woman. There's some affection between them.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing actually comes of it. It's actually some dire consequences with her.
Mm-hmm.
There's a white school marm who is obsessed with Boss.
Yes.
Boss kisses her, but as Boss says, I just did that to satisfy your curiosity.
That's right.
And it's an hour and a half. It's very straightforward. There's Jed, played by the great, great is strong, but I love William Smith.
Yeah.
William Smith was one of those character actors in the 70s that I absolutely loved.
Yeah. Shows up everywhere.
That by the end, much like The Legend of Nigger Charlie, not only did I really end up enjoying this, but I felt like the parts of The Legend of Nigger Charlie that we said could be expanded upon, they expanded on part of it with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
The direction, the acting, look, you temper your expectations. Once again, I don't think Sidney Poitier lost any sleep over Fred Williamson as an actor.
Coming for the crown.
But I thought, as somebody who, once again, as time goes on, I think gets consumed by his ego,
Mm-hmm.
I appreciated the level of restraint he had as an actor in here. Jack Arnold, the director, is a name I know because I like schlocky science fiction.
That's his bag.
And Jack Arnold worked and I thought he did a very journeyman, pedestrian job of directing, but it was not distracting.
Right. Right.
Derville Martin is the real standout. Derville Martin is having more fun in this film than anyone else in this film, but that's his role.
Mm-hmm.
So that I really ended up enjoying this.
I was actually surprised watching this film, knowing that Fred Williamson was a football player,
Mm-hmm.
right? Professional football player. I was surprised at how big and imposing a figure he is.
Mm-hmm.
And we've said it before, like in all his other films and even his Black Caesar, his urban films. But I think for some reason in this film was the first time I really took note. This man is huge.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because you can't tell me there is not one scene in this film where Fred Williamson, I believe, literally steps onto a horse.
Oh, that is so funny. Because I was like, that seems like a real small horse. But no, I guess Fred Williamson just
He literally just lifted his leg, stepped, and was on the horse.
Yeah.
I said, my God.
Yeah.
I mean, and to do it with only one shirt button.
Sure,
mind
of course.
It's
Still in his rider.
It's in his rider.
Yeah.
It's I'm glad you pointed out Jack Arnold as a director.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he's the king of schlock.
Yeah.
You know, his most famous film is The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah.
Right? Which, as much as people herald the movie, it's just a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like outside of its legend, it really is just a serviceable,
Yeah.
you know, schlocky 50s horror movie.
I would argue it's pretty atmospheric, which
True.
I'll give that
True.
to Jack Arnold's credit. Yeah.
And that's what I'll say. That's what I'll say he brings to this and he brings to Fred Williamson.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are scenes in this film, not a lot of them, but certainly more than you have seen in other Fred Williamson films, where he is properly framed in the camera
Mm-hmm.
so that you can appreciate the enormity and the immenseness of this man. Where you can see, oh, this is this. I would believe that his name is Boss Nigger.
Yeah.
As he comes walking into this town, right? Because of the directing of Jack Arnold on this film. So I really appreciated. This is probably, to me, one of the best films that Fred Williamson has appeared in, as far as how he appears in the film. I wound up liking this film as well, and just like you, kind of like went in there with the expectations, especially after seeing The Legend of Nigger Charlie. Like, okay, well, what's this one going to be?
Right.
You know. But and especially when you hear that he wrote it, I'm like,
yeah, oh yeah.
But and the influences are there. What I noticed, what I took note of, was this movie comes out late 74 or 75. Means that it was in production in 74. Which means also that this film, Fred Williamson's Western, and he obviously loves Westerns. He did a bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
Comes out after 1973's
Here it is.
High Plains Drifter.
Yep.
Clint Eastwood.
I left that there for you.
Thank you. Because in that film, one of Clint Eastwood's many Westerns and one of his best ones.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It is also one of his first ones after the Sergio Leone films, where Clint Eastwood is still very much this mysterious, powerful, man.
He's a man with no name.
Man, kind of like still like the man with no name.
Yeah.
But his backstory and his trajectory in that film is as someone who has come through, heartache, damage, betrayal, has been beaten up, and is looking to revenge. Speaks in very short clipped bites. It's mostly about him striking a figure, a silhouette, if you will, in the Wild West, in this town that is teetering on lawlessness versus law,
right?
With corruption in the middle,
right,
keeping the two things, the commerce flowing. And that is the same world that Boss Nigger rides into in this film. You have a touch of the Sergio Leone with some of the more Hispanic or Latin figures that are in this film as well. But it is definitely all about him riding into this town. They're unsettled by his coming into town. They don't know what to make of it. They begrudgingly have to do what he says.
Right.
Right. But they also turns to their enemy to see if they can take care of, this black man, because they feel like, well, the enemy I know is better than the enemy that I don't know.
Right.
And all of that is right there in High Plains Drifter as well. So that influence, I'm seeing that in this film. And God bless him, Fred Williamson, who will never be mistaken for Clint Eastwood as an actor, as a figure. Well, as an actor.
Yeah.
But as a figure of a man, he's right there. He's right there. The low hat, the legs that go on forever, tall, imposing, lean figure, So I'm seeing that influence in this film, and I'm like, all right, I see what you're doing. You're working from good stock, and you're doing something with it. You're putting your swing on it. You're putting your swag on it. It's got the soundtrack. It's got the theme song. It tells you what you're getting into. Telling you like, yo, this is still our film. This is still our Western.
Right.
But we it's showing its influences on his sleeve, and he's working it. D'Urville Martin working it as well, fitting right in. This may be my favorite D'Urville Martin performance. We've seen a few of them.
Look,
He's having a good time.
He is.
He's having a ball. And there are moments, like you said, where he is the man on screen.
Yeah.
You know, he's carrying the scene. He's carrying the comedy. He also has to carry some of the drama in the film. So, and the two of them together work because D'Urville Martin, I think that we talked about in Adios Amigos, you could kind of see what Fred Williamson is going for with pairing himself up with Richard Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
But in Richard Pryor, you've got a mile a minute motor,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that doesn't leave room for Fred Williamson,
Right.
right? Especially if he's in that film where he's doing everything, he's
Right.
directing, writing, and a whole nine, and starring. D'Urville Martin, he's not like as D'Urville Martin or Wesley Snipes, as D'Urville Martin would say, he's an actor.
He's an actor. He's an actor. There it is.
He's an actor. So I know how to be a comedic actor.
Yeah.
And I don't need 1,000 words a minute because I know that some of these lines I can just play visually with my face.
Yes.
I can give you the ha-ha
Yeah.
with just a flicker of my eye. And that is what he does in
Yeah.
this film. That's what he adds to this film. And that leaves the space for Fred Williamson to get in where he fits in. Thus, their chemistry
Yes.
evolves throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Right? And you almost feel it without this being a direct sequel. You almost feel this is them at the end of The Legend of Nigger Charlie.
Right.
They've now turned into bounty hunters.
Yeah.
And they're here in this,
Yeah.
in this film, right? Because at the end of that film, while they were close, they were still growing close.
Right.
And they really are not a two-man team until the end of the film.
Right.
So now they've grown.
Yeah.
And now, like you said, they're Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
You know, they're yin and yang with one another.
Mhm.
And it works. It absolutely works. So much so that, like you, while I went in here with preconceptions, I sat there, it's like, man, I can't believe I'm into like an hour into this film and I'm a little invested in it.
Yeah. Oh,
You know?
yeah.
You talk about the pseudo love interest who has a tragic end in the film. I don't like that she has a tragic end because, let's put it out there, the women characters in this movie, they're not really doing anything.
No.
They pretty much are just,
Yeah.
fodder for whatever. But I still felt it.
Yeah.
I still was like, oh man, he's kind of hoping that, she get out of there, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I love that Fred Williamson, because when he first kisses the white woman, I was like, oh, Fred.
Right.
But then he's like, now your curiosity. That's for your curiosity. And then he bounced. I was like, okay, Fred. look
Right.
at
It was real cool.
I was like, okay, Fred.
Right.
I was like, yo, Fred.
Yeah.
I was feeling him. So I wound up like, yo, I like Boss Nigger too.
Yeah.
I actively really enjoyed it. Yes. Are there some scenes that are lifted from Clint Eastwood's film? Yes. Are there some scenes, the way they play out, that I could cherry pick at? Sure. The biggest one being, he goes to where the Latin people are, and he finds out that they're hungry. They don't have any food.
Sure.
So he leads basically a caravan of them into town.
That's right.
And, he's like, yo, put it on my bill. I'm going to give them food.
Right.
Some food. Unless I missed it,
Mm-hmm.
he hands the one little boy some type of like
licorice.
stick.
Yeah.
He hands the black girl a dress.
Yes, hands her a dress.
I think he gives some blankets to like the little boy's mom.
It gets chilly at night.
And that's it.
Look.
And then about 40 people that follow him into town
Yeah.
go back.
Go back. Well, he didn't tell them to come. He was just like Pancho was the only one that she said he was hungry.
But even then, he gave him
He'd
candy.
be like a piece of licorice. I was like, yeah, boss didn't really know about kids, I guess.
He don't know about.
Yeah.
Like, there's meat.
Yeah.
Right. Some water, something.
It's funny you frame their relationship as being at the end of which you see from the Legend of Nigger Charlie, because I 100% agree. Like, these two men felt like they knew each other. Like, there's a camaraderie. There's this wonderful scene at breakfast where Amos has this great monologue about we are eating and we don't, where the mayor wants to talk to him.
Yes.
And he takes, he very much takes on this, this highly mannered tone with him. And boss says, where did you get all that from? And Amos says, oh, I heard when my slave master said that once, and I thought it sounded so cool that I said, I can't wait to get an opportunity to say it.
Yeah, yeah.
And boss laughs a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the sense this is a man who does not get the opportunity to laugh that often.
Mm-hmm.
But Amos makes him laugh. And, he teases Amos a little bit where there's a Mexican woman who's chasing after him, and he teases him a little bit. And even that adds a dimension to this boss character that oftentimes you don't get. Like you said, a lot of it is lifted from the Clint Eastwood archetype. But the Clint Eastwood character is in a lot of ways one note.
Very.
I mean, by design, but it is one note.
Very much.
So having the Amos character provide this opportunity for boss to be a little something more, I thought worked really well. And again, is a testament to the generosity of the script.
Yes.
The surprising generosity of the script. So, kudos to Fred Williamson with this.
And kudos to that generosity, because unlike in Clint Eastwood films and all of your greatest of Westerns, the one thing lacking in this film, outside of the William Smith, like you said, he is good in this film.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's certainly not supposed to be the only protagonist in this film. And there's another protagonist in this film. I don't even remember the guy's name. The Jack Eland or whatever.
Right, the antagonist.
The antagonist. Excuse me, antagonist.
Yeah.
And he is so corny.
Yeah.
And like has no energy, no character at all. Brings nothing to it. So you don't feel any type of threat from him. Well,
you feel like he's supposed to be this land baron type.
Yeah.
But he just does not. You know what it is? He does not command other men.
No.
Like, you don't get the sense that he has henchmen.
No. Plus also I think he's cast too young.
Yeah.
He's cast too young. The person like William Smith should have been that should have been his role.
Right.
And I think William Smith ultimately plays out to be the bad guy.
Well, one of the things that was interesting to me, the townspeople are very much just scared of Boss Nigga and Amos. Like they just punked the town. But as you said, dude is trying to work the angles to get him and Williams and Jed's gang to fight each other.
Right.
I thought it was a really good detail that even before these two came into town, Jed and his gang had been terrorizing the town.
Yes, they came in like they basically came in on schedule.
Right.
To
terrorize and steal, and you get the sense they're assaulting the women, and like this really is a town that we don't have the wherewithal to really, they can't convince anybody to be the sheriff.
My arthritis, I can't hold a gun.
Right. I'm not built to do this, and none of us are qualified to. I mean, this is dialogue from the film. They have a meeting about Boss Nigga, but everybody, I'm not going to do, like, everyone's putting their finger on their nose. Not it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good, not it. That's a good one. Yeah, so that's the only drawback on the film, but that's picking at a nit.
Look,
to be honest.
And to your point of Fred Williamson being influenced by this great second wave of cowboy westerns from the late 60s, early 70s, you get the sense, kind of like I said a couple of weeks ago, a lot of this is just vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, like these images and inserting us into this narrative.
Yes.
So it's almost like you don't need the plot because you know the plot.
Right.
The important thing is me in the story.
I will say one thing though. I don't know how common knowledge it was in 1975 that there were actually more black cowboys than white cowboys.
Yeah.
Historically.
Yeah.
I don't know how much common knowledge that was.
Well, you know, again, it's this weird subsection of these black films in the 70s. Like, I remember in the beginning of Buck and the Preacher, I think they have
like the scroll.
They have that scroll where they say this. I do think, and I think Bushrod and Thomasine speaks about it too. So, you know, I do think if you liked this weird little sub-demographic, black westerns, which, as you mentioned, there's a surprising amount of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, hell, he has 4 of them, because I was looking up, like, Joshua comes out 2 or 3 years after that, and I suspect if we go, like at some point we're going to go back to the well with Joshua. I think Joshua is probably where we're going to get caught out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I suspect, because Joshua's like 1977.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I was going to say is that his depiction, his demeanor as the cowboys in this, and even to a degree, D'Urville Martin, even though he's comedic, but he's comedic, but he's competent.
Look,
and there's the difference.
Yeah.
And I think their depiction of black cowboys, I can see that wholly resonating with, if you didn't believe that there were more black cowboys, they certainly made you believe that there were black cowboys.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And the reasoning why. Because, like you said, you're right after your post-slavery. You know, you've got a gun. You now can feel yourself a little bit.
Right.
To their point, I want to feel like how it feels to chase white people for a change. Right. You know what I mean?
Right.
And get paid to do it.
Right.
You know? So it fit in that, even though it definitely is steeped in the blaxploitation, you know, fantasy a bit of it, of that time, it feels real. Yeah. And I think that is why it permeates and hits so much more than Nigger Charlie. Right.
And we said it about The Legend of Nigger Charlie, but I think it's even more apt with this one. You know, in 1975, Lil Quentin Tarantino had a Notebook.
Oh, yes. Oh, you could see the influence of Clint Eastwood on Fred Williamson, but you can smell
the influence of Boss Nigga on
Tarantino.
Django Unchained.
Django Unchained, and all his westerns. What's that? The other one?
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. Yeah. So before we get to whether or not you would recommend the film and everything like that, I did have a question a little bit, though.
Okay.
And this was about, and we took it in with The Legend of Nigger Charlie, and now with this film, and how the films have been, you know, retitled. Yeah. In, you know, as time is going on. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I don't think you could get away. I don't think you could make a movie with nigger in the title.
No, not at all.
You know, but I was curious how you felt about that, because like we are very staunch. Like, yes, this movie is released as the Black Bounty Hunter Boss. We advertised it Boss Nigger.
Yeah.
We advertise the Legend of Nigger Charlie. When nigger is in the name, that's what we promote.
Right.
You know? But I also recognize that there are times, at least for me, maybe not for you, I can't speak for you, there are times when I feel a pull to not say the word.
Sure.
In our discourse here. Because recognizing that I know people listen in their cars sometimes,
sure,
around children and stuff like
sure.
that. So I was curious about your thoughts, especially as, you know, going into your profession as a professor of English. Your thoughts on the word itself in the lexicon.
I think context always matters. Not only is it just using these examples, not only is it in the title, but as we said with the Legend of Nigger Charlie, and certainly in this film, the word actually serves a narrative purpose.
Yes.
Where in the film 2 weeks ago, you saw his journey to become frankly Charlie. And in this one, I like the fact that the ever presence of the word lets you know this town was just afraid. Like, they hated him, but we're just afraid. And we're never going to let you forget that we hate them by this overuse of the word. And, you know, so much so that Amos, as we mentioned, has his laws.
I know.
He actually has a law at one point where you can't call me nigger. But
in public, it's a $20 fine.
It's a $20 fine. But I love that dynamic of you want to, but frankly, I'm punking you. So that, and then, you know, just generally, I think context matters. You know, obviously, you don't approve of it as a dehumanizing word. You don't approve of it as an insult, but, you know, and then if I can be brutally honest, I do get a thrill out of the fact that there's something that we can do that white people can't do. Like, we can sit here and talk about the Legend of Nigger Charlie with a level of impunity.
Yes, we can.
So there is that as well. But I also, you know, I know there are people that, you know, I don't think we should ever use the word at all. And I respect that. Like, well, I respect black people's opinion on the word.
There you go.
Sorry, white missionaries. I love y'all, but I don't really want to hear your opinion of the word.
No.
So I do respect. So, you know.
Boss Nigger.
Yeah.
Would you recommend it to our black and white missionaries?
I would. I would. I think part of the reason we start doing Westerns in February, I do think it is an unexamined section of black film. And there are a surprising amount of them.
Yeah.
From the 70s that, you know, frankly, I think have been lost. So I would. I think both you and I agree of the black Westerns from this moment, Buck and the Preacher is the best one. But this is in the atmosphere with Buck and the Preacher. Like I think this is better than all the other ones we've watched so far.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so I would.
Absolutely.
And you?
Yeah, I would recommend this. It's funny when you just said that about better than all of the other Westerns that we've seen of this era. I recognize that you're talking about primarily the blaxploitation Westerns, because Buck and the Preacher is the best Western that we've seen of this era, but another one that's in the running but not considered blaxploitation is Blazing Saddles.
Right.
Right. But
Absolutely.
But of the blaxploitation ones, yes, this definitely is just, and not too many notches below Buck and the Preacher.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I would recommend this. The film takes on. It gets a little darker at the end.
Look,
it gets a little dark at
but
the end.
even that.
But I appreciate
like
that.
there's this almost.
It earned it.
There's this sort of light tone,
Mm-hmm.
but I appreciate the fact that the film lets you know there are stakes.
Yes.
There are stakes. One of the great moments in the film, there was a split second where I thought Amos died.
Yes, me too.
And that was a testament to the film.
Mm-hmm.
That I thought this was a film that might go there.
Yeah. And if he had died, I would have been, oh man. But it still would have fit tonally with the movie.
Look, you thought spoiler. I thought it would have shifted into that third act of Unforgiven.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would recommend Boss Nigger. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was fun. Like I said, it gets dark at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it earns it.
Yeah.
It earns the turn. It does it ably. I think this is one of the better Fred Williamson movies. I think he is directed. I think he probably had, I don't know, of all the directors that he's worked with or that we've seen him do work with, this one seems to be the one where he seems to have shown maybe the most respect to the director. Mm-hmm. Or to be fair, he probably is just doing his Clint Eastwood.
Right.
Which is it is decidedly a little bit more stripped down anyway.
Well, to your point, you get the sense he really loves Westerns.
Oh yeah.
And wants to be a part
Well, I mean, you can see he, what Fred Williams probably in his 30s, late 30s in that time.
He's right in that pocket.
He grew up on Westerns. Not just in the movies, but on television.
Right.
So that's his world.
Yeah, like Black Caesar, he really loves himself.
Mm-hmm.
And it just works.
Yeah.
But you can see he's deferring to form.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I would definitely recommend Boss Nigger.